Hi everyone, this is Marco from bn-games.com, and we're here doing another classic capture. Today we are playing Need for Speed Underground 2 on the PS2, one of my favorite racing games. Usually not into very realistic racing games like Gran Turismo, for example. I'll play them, but I'm not a fan of them.
This is the arcade style.
Yeah, I like the arcade style ones more, and this was definitely one of the ones that I played a lot. This and Midnight Club 2 and Underground.
Yeah, well, I mean, this one I think it tends to go a little more realistic versus Midnight Club. Midnight Club is kind of just
more arcadey,
plow through everything.
But I like that.
I want to mention that chick, she's probably in her 40s with plastic surgery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell she's airbrushed just a little bit.
Nah, just a little.
Just a little bit. So versus the first game, I want to mention that we are playing this on the PS2. Like I said, the Xbox version is graphically better. I mean, not necessarily by too much, but it does look a lot better. As you can see here, the difference between this and a lot of the other racers at this time, because this was the time where, you know,
the street racing
the tuning phase was really big at this time.
I think this was maybe around the time.
It was Vin Diesel's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was maybe about the Too Fast, Too Furious time.
This was around the time that it was either coming out or had just come out. And the big change from this to the second, from the first game to this game that they added was the fact that you can now go around the city and drive around in free roam. Where the first game had all of the races in a list, and you would plow through them, and then as you progressed, you would unlock new parts. Here, you actually have to drive in the world. You have to drive to the events. You have to drive and find different tuner shops that unlock different parts, and different performance shops and different car lots and stuff like that. You can see the map here. As you can see, I'm driving a Nissan 240 SX, which is what I'm going to stick with for the rest of the gameplay here. One of my favorite things that I'm really glad they kept was the drag mode. I think this is really unique, and not a lot of other racing games even now have had this. It wasn't very... It wasn't really skill, it was a lot of luck, because a lot of these races, especially as they get faster and harder, were really just you playing until the point where you memorize where all the cars were going to be.
I don't quite remember in this one how much it was, because I know when I played the PSP Rivals version, that one did take skill, because especially in like some of the final races, if you weren't skilled enough to do a perfect shift every time,
to a degree, I agree, but a lot of it, in all reality, is just you learning to dodge in traffic.
No, in those...
So it's Crazy Taxi.
Basically.
Yeah, no, in those, at least in the PSP version, it took skill. I mean, I didn't play the drag race much on this one.
Some people might disagree with me there, but, you know, in this particular one, I have to say that it doesn't really, at least at this level, you know, in the later as it goes on, it might get a lot harder, but it seems to me that it was just a lot of fighting the traffic, although I still like the racing mode.
At this game, though, for me, for what's showing right here, it was one of the best, at least, you know, being like one of the first, it was one of the best ones for as far as customizing and tuning a car.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be the oddball here and continue the tradition of angering people and saying that Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition was better than this game.
I disagree.
I like 3, but the one thing that this had that 3 didn't was the specific tuning, like to the point where you can change your drivetrain and your gear ratios, and you can see here
You had a lot more.
You had a lot more options and room to play with. For example, you can change your ECU levels based on the different race types you wanted.
Where Midnight Club stuck to exactly what it was an arcade one. The best thing about it was that you could make the car look any way you wanted.
Yeah, I will say that the visual customizations in 3 are probably far superior to this, although this still did give you a lot of control over what you can do.
Well, I think this almost gave...
spinners.
This game almost
I don't even see those anymore.
This game almost gave all of what Midnight Club 3 had. I just think Midnight Club 3, being it came out like a year later, had a lot more time after, especially the whole year.
They had a lot more money. I will say that it feels like they did take a lot more time to develop it.
Yeah.
Would you say this is the Call of Duty 4 of the street racers?
No.
No, Need for Speed Underground I think would be the original.
I'm
one would
only
be
saying
that.
I'm only saying like because
Like the turnaround point where
yeah,
you know,
because I mean
just
everyone came out with it.
Underground I would say personally would be the one for me that did that.
We were already done Midnight Club 2, which you said you preferred more or less?
I like Midnight Club 2 more than this and even the first one.
Yeah, see, I don't. I like this one because it adds a little bit more realism into it. I think even, you know, the kind of backstory that it does give is better than Midnight Club's.
Personally, I hate the story in this. I don't think you need a premise.
I didn't. Well, no.
I'm a guy that has money. I bought myself a car and I want to race.
Yeah, I know. But,
that's all the fucking premise I need.
But even Midnight Club had a backstory to it, and I just prefer this game all around. I mean, the driving I think is better. The tuning's better. Midnight Club.
The driving and the tuning are more realistic.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, and I prefer that because Midnight Club to me, it's like an advanced version of Cruising USA. It's basically plow through whatever gets in your way till the finish line.
Yeah.
This, I mean, you can actually drift the cars. It takes a bit of skill to actually go through it, especially in the later games like Carbon that actually have a drift mode.
I will give this game this. This and the first game were two of the only games that I can recall in memory that I would actually, you know, I beat it 100%, again, to restart and beat it 100% again. I actually played through these games a couple of times.
Well, I only played through it like once, and that's just because I borrowed it from someone. But like Carbon, which I mean, Carbon, there's not too much that's different.
The thing that Carbon had was excellent was the downhill segments.
Yeah,
that was the best part. Although for me, I was too busy playing Burnout 3.
That's another thing. This is before Burnout, and Burnout visually is just so much more impressive.
Well, see, that's where, like, you know, Burnout is the better arcade game, you know, even in that kind of racing, because I mean that it's a more pure arcade game, but it's still kind of that plow through, but it's still a lot better than Midnight Club. I mean, honestly, to me, Midnight Club is one of the worst racing games.
Wait, which one?
Any of them. I don't.
3
like,
was great.
I don't like any of them.
Yeah,
one is an abomination that should
terrible.
not have been greatest hits, in my opinion.
I feel the same way about Burnout 2, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand. Mind you, I didn't play 1 before 2. I played 2 and 3, and then I played 1, and I was like, I don't know how anyone could put up with this. It was all straight lines. It was drag racing. I don't like that.
Genesis.
Yeah, another thing that I do want to mention, and I'm just going to say it because I know somebody's going to bring it up, and these things just work out this way. I am in no way saying that I am the best player of this game by any means. I suck at this game.
I could tell you that straight off because you're driving one of the easiest cars to go through a corner, and you're making it look like...
What?
Actually,
I was about 15 seconds ahead or something like that at this point. I'm just trying to build up my
I know that, but even when you were behind, it's like, you know, you're always saying, oh, drift a train. You're making it look like you're drifting a train in a car.
He's right about that, but you also have to remember, Marco has no Asian blood whatsoever.
That's true.
I'm just saying, because that car is known for being like one of the easiest.
Do you know
it's one of the best drift cars.
Do you know how hard I'm trying to keep the volume down and the bass thumping? It's in my blood.
So, let's put it this way. In Harry Potter, it's always the wand chooses the wizard. In this, it's the car chooses the driver. And Marco hasn't found his car yet.
I'm sorry. Anyone should be able to use this car easy in a track like this. He just doesn't know how to drive. I know this firsthand.
Yeah, and I am not saying that I'm the best driver at all. I like this game. I play it for fun. I don't play it competitively.
It's called brake
feels
before the turn.
Stiff to me, like really stiff.
Nah.
At this point, I actually hadn't upgraded the brakes yet, and it was sliding a little bit. And I was just using the handbrake
sooner. I used the handbrake too. You still brake sooner.
Well,
you don't have enough purple under the car. That's the problem.
It's blue.
Yeah.
I'm colorblind, people.
That does look kind of purplish. But yeah, you know, that basically wraps it up. It came out on the PS2, the Xbox, the GameCube. You can technically count
a DS and PSP version.
DS Game Boy. And yeah, it's a pretty good game. You can find it for about $10. Definitely fun. You can check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at bobby@basicallynothing.com, and go ahead and leave a comment.
Please subscribe and let us know what you think. Thank you.
So you have the proper setup for the track. Throw your ride on the dyno and run it on the test track to make sure it's wired tight.